Hi there, I'm Chris Devine and this is Six String World. Sometime around the summer of 1990, a guy walked into my local mom and pop music store that I used to take lessons at, and he dumped a ton of gear off for a trade and cash situation at the store. And a lot of what he had to trade in was fairly new. If memory serves me, he worked at a music store that was out of state. The store went out of business and the owner paid off his employees with inventory. And it must have been a pretty big Jackson Charvel dealer, because all of a sudden my local mom and pop store that was pretty much a real life PV catalog all of a sudden had a ton of stuff they usually didn't carry, including about a dozen Jackson and Charvel guitars. Amongst them was a coral reddish Charvel Model 375 Deluxe. Now, this was the era of Charvel leaving the guitar-shaped monkeys logo to a font that more closely resembled Jackson's branding. These later became known as the toothpaste logo era guitars. Now, I'm no Charvel historian or expert, but I believe this era started in 1989 and ended somewhere around 1991-ish. Now, I was just entering my senior year of high school back then, and I pestered my parents to allow me to buy that guitar. Anyways, a quick plug: if you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. The bell icon will let you know when I put up a new video. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up button. And if you want to share it, well, there's a button for that as well. Anyways, back to the guitar. It was only $425, which was pretty reasonable for the time. It was a new instrument, but it had never been retailed. It just sat on the shelf of a store. It still had all the plastic on the back plating and even on the pickups. And it was not a bad deal. Now, I did have the money. My folks, however, were obviously trying to keep my spending on point, especially with college on the horizon. But I did get it, on the caveat that I would then sell my other guitar, which was an Aria Pro 2 with a Kaler. No problem with that. The 375 Deluxe had a basswood body, a very slim maple neck with a maple fingerboard, jumbo frets, a Floyd Rose style tremolo, and a single hum pickup configuration. The only change that I made was putting some black Fender Strat knobs on it. But overall, it wasn't too heavy metal looking, but it did scream 1980s hard rock type of guitar. Now, I used that guitar up until about 1994-ish as my main guitar. After that, I kind of started to transition to hot-rodded Fenders and other guitars. Grunge and alternative music made guitars like my Charvel kind of dated, like acid-wash jeans. I ended up trading it to an old bandmate for a Charvel bass. I did try to track my old guitar down through him a few years back, only to find out that the last owner sold it for parts. And I don't really regret selling it or trading it. I did move on to some other things that were more suitable for what I was doing musically, and I'm fine with that. But I have kept an eye on Reverb and Craigslist and eBay for reasonably priced versions, because, well, I didn't think they'd be super desirable to Charvel collectors, as they're not San Dimas versions. It's the toothpaste logo era, and I figured that's something they wouldn't be really anywhere near interested. People would be interested in the more rare versions with when it was, still, Charvel was still a small factory and not a bigger company as it was when I bought my Charvel. But for a guitar that they probably made tons of, I can't really find them. The ones that do show up are usually more upscale versions with maple tops or a custom or an upgraded paint job. So trying to find a reasonably priced version is kind of like finding hen's teeth. I'm wondering how many guys and gals of a certain age have ones tucked away in closets or under beds. And, even doing Google image searches, I have barely found pictures that were close to the version of the guitar I owned. So I guess it's rare, but it didn't seem like a rare guitar back then. Now, it would be fun to revisit that guitar as kind of a reminder of my formative years as a musician. And back when I was a high schooler and later a college student living at home with, one TV set in a small bedroom. I was single and underage and didn't have a ton of money, but I spent a lot of time with that guitar. I pretty much had it in my hands for about 2 to 4 hours a night. It got paint chips because it got played and it got, not beaten up, but every now and then you'd bump into something, from a stage, or it would, I remember the gig bag I had was not a great one. The shoulder strap came loose and it took a little header on, not a header, but the butt ended up hitting my parents' front steps as I was trying to get into the house on a rainy night at around 2 o'clock in the morning. It got some dings and dents, but it still played great. And, the reason it was getting beaten up was because I used it a lot. And the reason I used it a lot was the one true possession at the time that I really treasured. I think it may have even been worth more than my car at the time. And while my guitar playing and my car certainly didn't score me any points with the ladies, but it was a true companion for when all I really had was my music. So I'd love to try to maybe revisit that for just for nostalgia's sake. But by no means is this a holy grail quest to acquire at all costs. I do keep my eye out for like I said, online, and for things like estate sales and consignment shops and small music stores. But no luck as of yet. I have a maximum price to what I'd be willing to pay for a complete and a mint version, and then it scales down accordingly. But it's kind of tough because people usually tend to think anything over 20 years old is either junk and they throw it away, or it's something vintage that's worth more than it really is. So, at a certain point, the nostalgia trip really isn't worth it. But I digress. I would at least love to try to see if my memory was is as sharp as it was, and knowing how much enjoyment I got out of that guitar, and would be nice to revisit some of that. But anyways, how about you guys? Have you been able to reacquire an old guitar? Was it the same exact guitar or just the same model and version? Did it live up to your memories? Was it better than the one you had back in the day? Let me know in the comments section below. I'd really love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.